Today we're talking about the various jobs in the games industry. So imagine that you have one person here that decides to do everything. Um, Stardew Valley is a good example. So that person would do the game design, the art, and the engineering or coding. That's possible. It takes a long time and it takes a very dedicated, very crafted person to do so. There are other options. The first one being, well, you partner with two other friends, and so all of a sudden you've got three people, one, two, and three. One of them will focus on all of the art, the other all of game design, and finally all of engineering. That's possible. It's possible with like tools like Unity, for example, using a bit of Photoshop and basically doing all the game design in sheets and stuff like that. Um, as the size of your scope and your ambitions expands, though, you're going to transition from these being individuals to these becoming departments, right? So under art, you're going to have 3D art. For example, modeling a character. The second is going to be another job called the rigging. If you want to animate that character, there will be an animator also. There will be other jobs like building the user interface. So we call that the UI artist. And there, if you want to create the mood of the kind of game that you want, you're going to have a concept artist at the beginning as well. You could have a slightly more complex role called a TA or technical artist, the person making sure that the game is performing properly, so doing things like poly counts and level of details and things like that. So all of a sudden, you have a rather large art department going with the game design, which also becomes its own thing. So in there, you're going to have the core systems design. Uh, Focusing, for example, on the shooting mechanics or the driving mechanics for a racing game, focusing on the core system for the core match 3 engine, if that's what you build, um, focusing on the passing mechanic if you're building a basketball game, for example. So that's the core system um, designer. Um, there will be another type of role called level designer. So a level designer will be adding various levels, for example, in the form of different maps for a competitive shooter, or things if you're building a puzzle game like a match 3, you're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of levels. So it's really using the core systems and assembling them in a way to retain your player long term. You're going to have a narrative designer, for example, if there's a story. Um, and you're going to have a mission designer if you're building a game with a mission system, for example, to keep all these players engaged. And then under engineering, you're going to have the uh, generalist programmer, for example, either in C Sharp or in C++, depending on the tools that you use. You're going to have a backend slash full stack um, if you're building things on the web, or if you have backend systems, you're going to have an architect who is going to establish how your entire game works all together, and so on and so forth. I'm missing a lot of engineering talent here. Now, as these become more and more complex and bigger, you probably start seeing the need to coordinate all these people. So there's roles as well called either producer or development director or project manager, depending on the company. And their role is to basically grease the wheels between all these different people to create value for the player. Value and value before it makes its way to the player needs to have high quality, and that's where QA or QC comes in: quality assurance, quality control, basically your game testers. Once the game is out, you have other things like CS, customer support, live operations specialist, and it gets a little bit more complex. These are all the different jobs in the games industry. I hope you can pick one or several and become really good at it. Let me comment if you want me to double click on anything there. Thank you.